Hello everyone, how you doing? So today you're gonna have your quiz. This is your second quiz of the semester, and we're gonna go over it a little bit so you will see what to expect. We're also gonna go through some examples so you can practice a little bit before doing the test. So this is how your test is gonna look like. Um, the first part says find the product. Remember that it's multiplication. It says show the procedure. It's very important that you show my procedure in every single thing that you do in this test. So you're just gonna multiply some fractions there. You're gonna choose the best answer. And the next one says find the quotient. Quotient, sorry. And then again, that is just the division between two fractions. You're just gonna look for the best answer for that one too. On the third part says simplify the expression, and you're gonna have you're gonna have an exercise, and this time you're gonna have a variable, and you're also gonna have a an exponent. And remember that when we are multiplying exponents, we add them. For example, if you have x to the fifth power times x to the 2 to the second power, you would just have to add those exponents and you will have that solution. And we're going to do some exercises about that so you can practice it too. And in the last part, yes, this is the last part, it says solve the equation. Now you have an equation and you know that it's an equation because you have the equal sign to it. So you have two parts. You have the left side of the equation, you have the right side of the equation, and you have to find out what x is. And at the end, you have a bonus part, and this is just a few exercises that have a few more steps. That's why there's just two. And again, you have to show the procedure for me to give you those points. This is your Google form. You just can you're gonna just press there. You can see the Google form. You can put your name, your last name, your grade, and you can answer it part by part. So let's do some examples. Give me a second until I can connect my iPad to my computer. There we go. So let's do some examples. I have them right here, some of those. So for example, the first part, you're gonna find the product. Again, we're gonna just multiply some fractions. So for example, if you had -9 over 20 multiplied by 2 and 2/3, what is the first thing you do? Well, the first thing that we have to do is solve that mixed fraction right there. We have to turn a mixed fraction to an improper fraction so we can use it. Remember how to change from a mixed to an improper? I'm going to do this in another color just so you see what am I changing. So the first thing that we need to know is that um, my bottom number, my is going to stay the same. Denominator, sorry, my denominator is going to stay the same. And remember that you just have to multiply and add. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And there you have it. Now the other fraction is just going to stay the same. 9 over 20. Remember that that negative is for the whole fraction, not just the 9. Now that we have two fractions that we can actually simplify, that is exactly what we're going to do. We just simplify. And what number 9 and 3 can have, they have in common? Well, they're both divisible by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. And 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. So I'm going to put it right there. In another color. And 20 and 8, they also have numbers in common, right? They can both be divided by 4. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I know that looks like a bunch of gibberish, so I'm just gonna rewrite it all. I have negative, right? 3 and 5 multiplied by 2 over 1. This is what I have left. Now that I have already simplified, now I can multiply, right? And remember that when we multiply, we do it from left to right. And we have 3 times 2, and that one's negative. Remember that we're multiplying a negative number times a positive number, then my result is going to be a negative. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 1 is 5. Now, did I finish? No, I still have a mixed number, an improper number, right? I have an improper fraction. So I'm going to just turn it back into a mixed fraction. So I will have a small numerator and a bigger denominator. And how do I do that? Well, that is simple. I just have to divide uh, my denominator, the number that it's out on the bottom is going to go outside, and the number that is the denominator that is on top is going to go inside. How many times does 5 fit in 6? One time and 1. And this means it's going to be negative. Don't ever forget that negative 1 because that is our whole number. 1 because that is our reciprocal right there. No, a residual. Sorry. Over 5. That is our denominator. See it? And that is our final answer. Then you're going to have in your exam, in your quiz, you're going to say A, B, C, and you're just going to choose um, the best choice for that. But I have to see this process. I have all that process. I have to see it on your test. That means on your written test. At the end of the Google form, you're going to be able to upload it. I'm also going to upload a video showing you a how to upload a PDF or an image to Google Forms. So let's go to the next one. In the next part says find the quotient, and that is just a fancy word for division. And we're just going to divide some fractions here. So for example, what if I have 4 divided by negative 2 and 4/15? What is the first thing that we do? Again, we're going to turn that mixed fraction into an improper fraction. How do we do that? Simple. Give me a second here. Sorry, there we go. Some technical difficulties. Again, I know that my denominator is going to be 15. Everything else, I'm just going to pour down. So 15 times 2 is 30, plus 4 is 34. And don't ever forget that negative. Now that I have my division, now I can use my KFC acronym. I don't know if you remember. That means keep the first fraction, flip the second one, and change that division to a multiplication. So those are my steps. So I'm going to keep the first one, and I'm going to make it a fraction, right? I'm going to flip the second one, and I'm going to change that division into a multiplication. Now that I have it this way, now I can simplify. And I can simplify the 4 with the 34 because they're both divisible by 2. So 2 divided by 4 is 2, and 34 divided by 2 is 17. Now I know that looks like a bunch of gibberish, so I'm just going to rewrite it. I ended up with 2 over 1 times negative 15 over 17. Now I can multiply from left to right. And 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. And 1 times 17 is 17. And again, my numerator, the number that is on top, is bigger than my denominator, the number that is on the bottom. So I have to change it, right? It's going to be 30 divided by 17. How many times does the 17 fit in 30? One time. It's going to be 13. So I have 1, and again, it's negative. I have one whole number. 13 was my residue, residual, and 17 my denominator. And that is the answer. Let's see the next part. And again, you can see a bunch of this type of examples on your book. So you can just go to your book and see the examples that you have in your chapter, or you can just go back to all my presentations and you will see part by part how we can solve them. So the third part says simplify the expression and show the procedure. Again, always show that procedure. So there are a few things that you need to remember. For example, if you're multiplying any variables or any number that have an exponent, just remember that the base stays the same and you just have to add those exponents. It's going to be x to the fifth power. There we go. So that is just a little side note so you remember those rules. So let's do an example here. For example, I have 4r to the third over 15 times 5r 3 to the third power again over 12. So first things first, I already wanna solve for that r. So I know that that is gonna be 3 plus 3, right? It's gonna be r. It's gonna be r 3 plus 3 is gonna be r6. So I know that, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Now I'm gonna try to simplify some of those numbers before I multiply them. And I can simplify the 15 and the 5. I can both divide them by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. And again, 4 and 12, that is another number I can simplify. And they're both divisible by 4, right? So 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now I know there's a bunch of gibberish there. But basically I have, this is going to be 1r3 over 3 times 1r3 over 3. That is basically what we have there. And again, r times r3, r to the third power times r to the third power is just r to the sixth power. And 1 times 1 is 1, so that r stays all by itself. And 3 times 3 is 9. And that is all. That is all we really have to do. And that is my answer. And that is my answer. Now let's check out our last part of the test. This is our last part, then it goes the bonus. I'm gonna go over the bonus too. So in this one says solve the equation and again show that procedure. I am not gonna give points if you do not show that procedure. So in the last one you have an equation, and remember you had what is the difference of an equation and just an operation is because the equation has an equal sign to it. So for example, if I have 7 over 8 m times m equals, and again that equal sign makes this an equation, -8. So what is the first thing that we do? But we need to always have in mind that I want to know what m is. M is my variable, so I want to know what it is. So I have to leave it by itself. So I'm going to focus here. So I'm just going to multiply on both sides by something. Now I have to leave it by itself, so I'm just going to multiply it by the inverse or the reciprocal. And remember that if I multiply by something on one side, I have to multiply by the exact same thing on the other one. So 8 is going to cancel with 8, it's going to be divided, it's going to be 1. And 7 with 7, all of that is just going to be 1. And we know that anything multiplied by 1 is just what is being multiplied by. So if I have 1 times m, it's just going to be m. And on the other side, I'm going to make this a fraction just so it will be easier. And I cannot simplify anything there, so I'm just going to multiply 8 times 8, 64, and again it's negative. And 1 times 7 is 7. Now, I am not finished as yet. Why? Because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. Remember that I have to always put it as a proper fraction or as a mixed fraction. And how many times does 7 fit on 64? 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. It's going to be 1. Therefore, m equals negative. Never forget that negative. 9 is my whole number. 1, that is what it was left from my division, right? Long division. Over 7, that is my denominator. And that is how you solve that one. Now let's go to the bonus part. And the bonus part is just the same thing as we did right now, just a little bit longer. So for example, you have 13x. Sorry, 13. Here we go. Sorry. Let's say that you have 13 over 15 times x minus 7 over 9 equals negative 1 over 5. Now there's something different here, right? Again, I have to leave that x by itself because I want to know her value. So now I just added here another operation. Before I wasn't adding nor subtracting. Now I am adding and subtracting. So that is the first thing I'm going to take away. So how can I take away that minus 7 over 9? I would have to add 7 over 9, so that would be a 0, right? Negative 7 over 9 plus 7 over 9 will be 0. Therefore, I'm going to rewrite my equation. Minus 7 over 9. And I'm going to add 7 over 9 there, so all of that is going to be 0. But again, if I do that on one side, I have to do it on the other one. So I'm just going to add here 7 over 9. Now let's rewrite all of this to see what I have. Again, this is going to be just a little bit longer. And we will use as much space as we need. We have 13 over 15x equals negative 1 over 5 plus 7 over 9. Now they have different denominators. I have to find a common denominator on both of those. And if you remember how to find it, remember that we have 5, we have 9. What do they have in common on those multiples? For example, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, and so on and so on. So what number do they have in common on those multiples? 45. Very good. So by what number do I have to multiply that 5 to give me 45? By 9, right? And remember that 9 times 1 is negative times -1 is -9, and 9 times 5 is 45. Plus, again, what do I have to multiply? That 9 to give me 45 times 5, right? So 7 times 5 is going to be 35, and 9 times 5 is 45. So I just multiply them both, right? By a whole number. And everything's gonna go back where it was. Now it's simpler to add them, right? Because they both have the same denominator. And I'm gonna try to see if I can do this. I don't know. I have some more space or something. No, I don't think I do. Don't worry, we just move things around. Or we just use another page. So -9 plus 35 is gonna be 26. So I'm gonna have, and I'm gonna divide this into 2. So on the left side, I'm gonna have again 13 over 15 times x. And on my right side, -9 plus 39. Remember that I have a negative and I'm adding a positive number, therefore I have to subtract them. And the symbol, right? The integer that I'm gonna put, it's gonna be the biggest number. In this case, it's 35, so it's gonna be a positive number. So it's gonna be 26 over 45. Now I want to let that x by itself. Now it's being multiplied. So why am I going to multiply it for? By the inverse or the reciprocal, right? So I can multiply this by 15 over 13. And this is going to cancel with this one with this one. But if I multiply 15 over 13 on one side, I have to do the same thing on the other side. And I can try to simplify, right? 26, right? I can try simplify 26 and 13. They're both divisible by 13. 26 divided by 13 is going to be 2. We'll put a 2 there. And 13 divided by 13 is going to be 1. And 46, I can divide this by 15, right? So 45 divided by 15 is going to be 3. And 15 divided by 15 is going to be 1. Now there's a bunch of gibberish around here, so I'm just going to rewrite my equation so it will look better. So I'm going to have my x all by itself, and now I have 2 over 3 times 1 over 1. Now that's easier, and I'm just going to multiply from left to right. 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 1 is 3. And there we end. My numerator is smaller than my denominator, therefore that is the answer. I hope you enjoyed this short video, and I wish you all the best of luck. Again, remember that you must upload the procedures. If you for some reason cannot upload it to the Google form, then you can send it to my email. But just remember that that just makes me take a little bit more time to check out your test. So if you can upload it to the Google form, again, I will really, really appreciate it. I'm also going to add a video of how to add a, any type of image or PDF to the Google form. Well, guys, I will see you then on the next class and have a wonderful day. Bye.